We have so many beliefs and opinions and choices and actions that we can locate or identify in the past or on an ongoing basis. If we ask a question, where do these beliefs come from, and how do they really come about? So, one of the ways in which people would tend to answer, or we could answer, is well, it has components of language, which is socially constructed in the sense it's none of you or me ever constructed this language. It's an open source technology in some sense, which we all are availing of for a long, long period of time. So similarly, people have experimented with various ways of using various things or resources, and the various mechanism to exchange them in their various forms, and how this mediums would come about or exchange would come about in forms of rules, norms, incentives. And over the period of human civilization, one could imagine, in fact, that there have been so many exchanges that would have happened in the human history, civilization's history, between individuals, between groups, and those exchanges would have led to some of some successes, some failures, some being carried on for a long period of time, and some rejected over a period of time. But coming back to belief, it cannot be said that purely it's a social construction, because we do have inner chatter. We do have a feltness, a first person emotion or feeling or tastes or distastes, liking, disliking, intuitions that actually respond to whatever is happening or has happened or is about to happen in the future. And in that sense, it gets co-constructed from the outside and from the inside. Again, one does not want to oversimplify by saying that the outside is lumped as a homogeneous and inside is lumped as a homogeneous. I think between in the human or the individual's inner space, there are so many conflicting things. For example, the taste buds are in conflict with the stomach, the ear is in conflict with the tongue. Just to nuance a little more on the inner side, one would have thought about certain things, felt about certain things, said about certain things, did something in a certain way in the past, but then not necessarily it would have been the same all along. There would have been variations in them, subtle variations, incremental variations, to the extent that there could have been scope creep, or it would have shifted completely to the opposite or a different part of the spectrum. So that's one way of locating that the inner space, the inner being of the human being, the inner thought feeling are not consistent and maybe in conflict, maybe changing over a period of time. Similarly, from the outside, we interact with so many individuals. Each individual brings or manifests different tastes, liking, disliking, opinions, and different groups do that, near us, far away from us. So, in that sense, I think whatever belief that gets constructed through these variety of interactions in the inner and the outer space. So the question then is, how do we even begin to see, is this the right way? Is this the most adaptive way, human civilization? And when it is adaptive, where is the adaptation applicable? So something may be adaptive to an individual or their family, or let's say it's adaptive to their neighborhood, or it's adaptive to their tribe, their interest group. But then it may also happen that something that is adaptive to any of these could be maladaptive at different scales. Like one person's adaptation could be maladaptation for somebody else, resulting in or probably constraining in some sense. In that sense, beliefs, how do we tie this to belief? I think we keep contesting our beliefs and opinions in some sense, whether in the inner spaces or outer spaces. One of the phenomena that one can see how this is panning out is the emergence of the internet, the emergence of information explosion and content explosion. The sheer amount of information that is there now available, the sheer amount of content that is there available is huge. Is huge. That small screen actually floods information and content. they come with their own set of morality. Uh, and I don't want to get into the debate or conversation around is there a differentiation between fact and value, because there are both schools of thought that say that facts are, or rather, values are embedded in facts and facts are embedded in values, but we are not getting there right now. I think the core point here that could be brought to our awareness is what are the factors that could help people develop adaptive beliefs, and what are the factors that could constrain people's or adaptation or development of people's belief. I think you could have factors that could be located in the availability of information. And again, the word information here cannot be homogeneous because you have conflicting information, historical facts and current facts, and so on and so forth. And then so much of information that is dispersed in so many individuals, something that Hayek mentioned in his wonderful essay in 1940s, The Use of Knowledge in Society, where he makes the case that there is no concentrated, integrated, dense, available information to a single individual. In fact, information is available in diffused, disseminated, evolving manner to different individuals and distributed rather. In this sense, the question then is what are the factors or features or attributes of information that one should keep in mind, keep in their awareness, in order to ensure that whatever beliefs that they have developed are supported or integrating the information. Obviously, we cannot be saying that one will be able to always have adequate information, all information, the right interpretation of it and integration of it. We can't say that. I think that's an ongoing process. But yes, we can build skills and we can build practices to do that. The other thing is what structures need to be built in the political, economic, social sphere such that these informations are nuanced or presented in a manner where they don't appear to be manipulative. So similarly, it goes with the content explosion. I mean, beliefs. We were discussing about what are the factors that could enable or constrain adaptive information or adaptive belief for an individual or different scales of individuals in the various forms of groups. So there is content explosion, and one finds all kinds of narrative around, and sometimes the narratives are supporting each other, sometimes the narratives are conflicting each other, and then there are completely unrelated narratives, and then how does one switch them and stitch them in some sense? The other thing that comes to mind, aside from information or content stroke narrative, is the pace at which things are happening around us. Is in what way the pace? So what could be the nuance of the word pace here? What factors within them are enabling or constraining adaptive beliefs for individuals at various scales? Those things need to be nuanced, because it could be the case that the pace is increasing so much that it doesn't afford people to reflect, contemplate, to really see deeply, to question their own beliefs, other people's belief in a nuanced manner. I think these and many more factors could be said that the flood of information, the flood of content, the pace of change, the pace of demands that we have from each other. There is one more interesting thing that can be brought up, which is the complexification of the society, the work of Joseph Tainter. The idea that there are now so many differentiated parts in the society. The word part here could stand for norms, rules, incentives, values, or tasks, or breaking down of different kinds of matter, resources, as they travel from one part of the value chain to the other part of the value chain. So one finds that there are so many tasks to be done, so many decisions to be made, so many choices to be made, and no single individual is on the top of all of this, in the sense, is in awareness of all of this. People have developed their own sphere of activity in a manner where there are certain overlapping exchange, abbreviated or expanded versions of them. So, the information explosion, the content stroke narrative explosion, the pace of change, and the complexity of our existence, in what ways all of them come together to ensure, enable, or constrain the development, holding, modification of one's belief and opinion. Could there be a case that because there is this huge surge in information content, narrative, complexity, pace, are creating some form of slavery of beliefs or enslaved beliefs, enslaved opinions? And to add to it, because we in some sense are also living in the knowledge era where there is hyper broadcasting of one's opinion and what they stand for, it's also creating pressures for people to just keep trading beliefs more like hunter gatherer, like foraging, hunting from here and there, and then just putting it out as their own opinions. We'll explore further on this in our next episode.